Okay, look, I know I say this a lot, but please, 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 if you haven't already, go watch yesterday's video. We had a board takeover. We're now a professional football club. We sold a player for a record transfer fee. We had some crazy games and, well, an injury, which, if you know the injury I'm talking about, you know the injury I'm talking about. As for things today, though, we are back for the end of season number 5. Today is episode number 34, if I'm not mistaken. The league table is all looking kind of pretty all of a sudden. There was a wobbly point during this year, but we have been on an insane winning run. And with the league wrapped up, we're coming back for the FA Trophy. Now, a few years ago, we made it to the final of this competition as a team playing outside the National League and National Regional Leagues, and we finished runner-up. Today, I'd really like to win this competition. With our promotion secured, it's the last time we're ever going to play in it, and I kind of want to admit it, we should be making it to the final. We're taking on Maidstone in the National South in the semi-finals. So hopefully a semi-final and final to happen today. Right after the intro, we're going to cover our youth intake. It's April 1st. I'm not pranking you when I say this. There's some good players in our ranks. Let's get into this. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Part 2 Prem. Here is the youth intake. My, oh my, oh my. There are some players with hopefully some serious potential here. Sam Montrose, you've done okay, son. You know what? I'll give him some credit. First year in the job as head of youth development, he's given us an elite talent. That elite talent is Isaac Warren, 15 years old. Really interesting goalkeeper. Doesn't have the best jumping reach or aerial ability, but a super consistent performer. And you can see in terms of our goalkeeping ranks, he's already considered our 5th best goalie. Has a lot of potential, some decent determination, fairly ambitious personality is good. He's training great as well, so with that in mind, we'll give him some praise. You might notice here, he's actually signed for us on £50 a week. That will be going up to £100 a week when he signs his first senior deal in a little over a year's time. We do need to talk about the contract situation. I'll talk about it after we talk about the rest of the good young players, because it's going to be a bit of a down note, I think. So in terms of other good young players, a few other players with 1.5-star current ability and some decent potential. William Espinoza, American. I don't know if he's lied about his age. He looks a bit older than 15, I'll be honest. But here is this man. Bit of a weird forward. When you look at the polygon, you might be sat there thinking, oh, he actually looks really, really good. And I do agree. But he's good in the air, but he's only got 4 strength. He's good with his pace, but he's only got 4 dribbling. So he's not really a static target man, and he's not really a fast-running, dribbly striker. I don't know what we're going to do with him. At the moment, I'm actually training him to be a complete forward. In an ideal world, his polygon just expands in all directions, and he's amazing. Nevertheless, though, we will have our eye on him. Probably won't be near our first team in the immediate future. And to be honest, I think that applies to a lot of the players that have come through in this youth intake. Gone are the years where players were immediately going to step up. One player who I really like the look of here was Washburn. That was until he got injured for up to 5 weeks. Not a bad little centre mid. Like Espinoza, is inconsistent. We'll keep an eye on him. Maybe slightly less potential on this bloke. And the last of the really exciting young options, perhaps the second best player in the intake in my opinion, Marlon Hullett. This guy, 16 years old, centre-back, looks really, really solid. Doesn't really have a gap to his game. A really well-rounded player. His worst attribute actually is positioning at an 8 and his decisions at an 8 for a centre-back on defend. But if he can improve with his good natural fitness, we could be onto a winner. Bit of a shame that he's got an ambitious personality, but his determination might make up for it. And like the goalkeeper we were looking at before, he's been training well, so we'll give him some praise while we're here. I have signed a few other players here that do have some okay potential. I guess the only other player that has 4-star potential, maybe, is George Chapman. I think you can see why I wasn't as keen to talk about him. Whilst he might have potential, his current ability is maybe just a little bit lacking. That said, our under-18 squad is looking a little on the larger side of things. We have a good little team here. They finished top in the under-18s division, and with our promotion secured, I think our under-21s will play competitive games next year. Now, like I mentioned already, players like Isaac Warren, and indeed most of the young players I've signed up, I've had to pay £100 a week for. Now, the reason for that is that we are now a professional club. In case you missed the memo, the board granted that request, and a new feature in Football Manager this year is, once you're promoted, like we've been, you instantly come professional. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. The positive is, I can offer full-time deals to players. The negatives are, I have to offer full-time deals to players, and they want a lot more money to train full-time. I suppose a good example of this would be Jude here, of course, our star striker, currently on £850 as a part-time deal. He is contracted for 2 years from our current date, but with our promotion secured, he's actually on a 4-year deal now at £850 a week, which is a great deal for us. Here's the issue. If I go to the enter the contract negotiation screen here, you can see potential championship player, leading League One player, but in terms of the wages he wants over £3,500. And I can't afford that. And this does apply to all the players in our team. They all want their wages kind of doubled or trebled. I talked with Ngoma's agent, and Ngoma, probably the best player in the team, probably a play in the championship and not do a bad job. We've got him contracted for a really long period of time. He has got a promotional wage rise that's about to kick in, but with his contract extending for 3 more years, he is here for 6 more seasons. If I want to renew his contract and not use the optional extensions, he wants over £3,000 as well. And whilst you could look at it and say, well, Jack, you've got loads of money, you've got the wage budget, surely you can just sign these players on. There's one big problem. And that big problem comes in the form of League Two's rules, because this league does actually have like a salary cap of sorts. It's in this list of things somewhere, and in fact you can see it here. The wage budget is limited to 50% of the turnover the club has, and on top of that there are some new minimum wages that kick in. That is a fundamental problem for us, because whilst we are making some good money, it's not like we're making it due to attendances. You can see the average league home game here, we're maybe getting 500 to 700 fans coming in. And when you look at the income for this year, £1.9 million of it is through player sales. 1.4 million is gate receipts. That includes the game at Man City, which I think earned us over £800,000. So it's a bit of an outlier there. And beyond that, prize money is the next highest thing that makes us money. Fundamentally, in the next couple of years, we are going to have to become a selling club to keep afloat. And expenditure-wise, things are just becoming more and more expensive. Our youth setup cost us £500,000 to maintain this year. That's because of the youth recruitment and the junior coaching budget being upgraded. What it does mean is that in order to fund our youth development system, we're going to have to sell some products of it. So yeah, it's a tricky situation because all these players want new contracts, and I would love to give them new contracts, but with their demands that they have, I can't afford to do it. And in fact, on top of that, you might have noticed that some contracts are expiring very, very soon. Good news here is the vast majority of our starting 11 do have these contract extension after promotion clauses. So the good news for us, I suppose, if we want to try and find a silver lining, is whilst these players are going to need big wage rises eventually, it's not necessarily something we have to deal with right now. I feel like I have just waffled on there about finances, and I feel like an accountant or something, but fundamentally it's something that you really need to understand going into this summer. We have a good squad, maybe even a great squad for League Two, but ultimately any players we try to sign are going to be asking for big wages. It does just feel like a bit of a weird oversight in Football Manager, really, that with us going professional and players now demanding full-time deals, suddenly their wage demands kind of go up fourfold. I don't know what it's like for National League and League Two teams when this situation arises. I can't imagine it happens like this, though. Anyway, since last episode against Man City, we have played a load of games, some really good, fun results in here. Proper rugby town results. 7-4 against Cheltenham, maybe the pick of the bunch. Some nice variety on the goal scorers. We have had back-to-back 3-0s in recent games, and in fact, with the most recent game against Macclesfield, we did secure the title. We sit on 108 points, and actually, we're currently on a record run for most consecutive wins in the National League ever. I want to keep that going as long as we can. We have really added to the squad throughout this year, and our team is in such a good spot. If you look at the kind of league table for the first half of the season, it was close. It was close. Yeovil were 4 points behind us. Maybe we were slightly ahead of Solihull. When you look at it for the second half of the season, you realise how good we have been. 18 wins so far in 20 games. Still 3 league games left of the year, but like I already mentioned, the FA Trophy is our main focus. We did navigate the quarterfinal since last episode, and in that game we mustered up a 5-3 win against Rochdale. You might remember Rochdale being the team predicted to finish second in the league. They have been a bit disappointing this year, never really mounted a challenge against us. You might have noticed as well here, Simkin did get injured with an arm injury. I did have to put another outfield player in goal. Fortunately, It didn't cost us, but it did leave me with a little bit of a situation where Keeley and Simkin were injured, so Louis Jones got to play 2 games. Good old Louis. 1 clean sheet kept, to be fair to him. Actually did okay when we called upon him. Not bad for a third choice goalkeeper. Anyway, now that I've talked all about going pro, the youth intake and everything else, let's get into this FA Trophy semi-final. This should be a simple game. We're taking on Maidstone. With the league wrapped up, I have been able to rest the starting 11 and played a rotated team in the previous league game. What it does mean is our starting 11 for this game is, well, ultimately fully at full strength in terms of the starting 11. Keeley between the sticks. Garrett slowly but surely learning to play left back. The new addition at left back, of course, we have secured a sale of Slate for £700,000, which I still maintain is a ridiculous sum of money to get for this guy. But with that £700,000 received, I feel like we need to now bed Garrett in. So I'm just going to play Garrett at left back to the end of the year and hope he learns to play there. Of course, another player that we signed during the season, Brodie Spencer, is now accomplished at defensive midfielder. He can kind of play this position. You'll also notice here, there was one game where I played him at striker. Please don't question that. Elsewhere, Ngoma and Edwards slot into the team as always. Timmy, who we signed last episode as well, another addition at centre mid, now looks incredible, doesn't he, on £150 a week? He's been playing a lot. When he has played, he's been blooming good for us. 2 goals, 4 assists from centre mid. Cannot complain. In the final third, we are going with Jude alongside Hamilton. Hamilton and Goldsmith have been battling it out for this striker position, but Hamilton is the man I'm putting some faith in. We have been seeing a little bit of interest in our players as of late. No intention of selling him. Of course, a win here would mean a trip to Wembley for the final. A defeat here, and I awkwardly just go to the end of season wrap-up bit and feel sorry and sad for myself about the fact we've bottled the FA Trophy for a second year. Of course, last time we were in this competition, we were massive underdogs. We come in it today in the semi-final, I feel like, as the team most expectant to get a result, and with a goal after 21 seconds, maybe the expectations are there for a reason. Timmy did get the assist there, didn't he? I keep wanting to call Timmy Iron Man. I know his name doesn't actually say Iron Man. I think it has half the letters to make the name Iron Man, so maybe I can just call him the Iron Man. Great assist though. Jude with another goal for the collection. I'll let the comments section decide, is Timmy a better nickname, or is Iron Man, when his name doesn't actually say Iron Man at all, a better suggestion? Answers on a postcard. As for the here and now, we need to do some defending. We got our noses ahead in 20 seconds. Maidstone looking to reply immediately, although Timmy there wins the ball well, and now it's with Edwards. Jude, options to his left. Garrett is one of them. He takes the ball, gives it to Ngoma, who's going to drift into a wide area. Back now with Garrett. Bit of build-up play around the back, not necessarily a bad thing here, although it does allow Maidstone to get into a nice, compact defensive shape. The emphasis is on us to break them down. It's lovely build-up play, it's beautiful build-up play, and it's offside. The linesman's robbed us there of one of the prettiest goals you've seen in the Football Manager match engine. One player who I feel like I've not talked enough about is McLaughlin. Of course, the 31-year-old. He is just kind of running his own little rugby town daycare centre. He has been very, very solid for us. Good little tutor as well. I suppose the fact that we don't talk about him is a good thing. I feel like with defenders, if you're not talking about them, they're probably doing their job okay. Anyway, Spencer with the ball in the wide area, gives it to Ricky D. He chests it into the box. He gets it back to him, lays it to Edwards, the hero of the game against Leeds United last episode. Adds another goal to his tally for the season there. This pass by Ricky D, he chests the ball into the box. That is one of the coolest passes I've ever seen. I'll let you decide if it's realistic or not. In the end, the assist, far less flashy. Have noticed, got a couple of players on bookings here. Garrett and Spencer being very, very naughty. Ball falls to Garrett here. What can he do? Hamilton, Garrett, options in the middle. The left back goes towards the near post. It goes past everyone. It falls straight to Jude. And that is another goal for him. So far, so good. 3 goals up. Maidstone have not created a lot. I don't want to say it prematurely. Think we're on our way to Wembley. Coming up to an hour played here. Still 3 goals up. We've made a double change. Holchady and Slate into the team. The 2 players that we've sold and then loaned back. Trying to phase them out the team. They are in the starting 11. Well, not the starting 11, but the playing 11 now. Simply because the last thing I need in this game is a sending off. The first thing I need in this game would be another goal. Hamilton is battling away in the corner. I think he's murdered a man. He has murdered a man. We've got a player sent off. He couldn't make it up. I don't want to say it prematurely. Finn, that is his first ever senior red card. Yeah, it is. I don't know if he'll be suspended for the final or the league games in between. Guess we'll find out. I feel like at times this season, I've really tried to overcomplicate things when we've got a man down. I'm just going to leave Jude up top on his own and leave the rest of the team the same. Might be wrong here. I feel like we've seen red cards in probably more than half the episodes of season number 5. Season 5 is just the season of aggression. We've just been an angry little team here. Which on the one hand, I kind of, if it's good channeled anger, can be a great thing. It's been unhinged anger from our team. Anyway, despite the fact we're a man down, we are still looking to bring the ball forward here. Iron Man, he's doing his thing. He's going to put it in. And I desperately hope that wasn't the highlight, because that was not worth showing me, was it? Not long left for this game here. We're still knocking the ball around with confidence. Only Jude to aim for in the final third. But he is the kind of player who you can just kind of give the ball to and let him do stuff like that, like earning a penalty. And I think with that, he's now on for the hat-trick. Can he score it? Of course he can. 4-0. It's done. We're on our way to Wembley. 3 minutes of added time at the end of this game. Maidstone have not had a shot on target. You can really tell we were playing a team in the league below us. Dominant display. Jude with another hat-trick. He's not camera shy, this guy. He likes to turn up in live commentaries too. Except last episode against Man City, but we'll just pretend that didn't happen. With that result there, we have booked ourselves a spot in the final, and I'll tell you what, there is some really nice poetry here. Rugby Town will play Solihull Moors in the final. Do you know who we played last time we were in the final of this competition? I mean, if you were paying attention earlier, you already know this. It was Solihull Moors. They beat us 1-0 on that occasion. It is a rematch of the final from 2 years ago. A chance for vengeance, maybe. Now, that game is scheduled for the 6th of May, so it is a month away. We do have 3 league games between then and now, but, well, they don't hold a great deal of significance. They're nicely spread out too, so I can just keep players match sharp and match fit. I'm going to join you guys in May for a big cup final. Suppose another bonus of this FA Trophy game is we should get some more money in terms of gate receipts. So, I mean, hopefully that's going to help us keep the money in the positives. I mean, it should stay in the positives for the foreseeable, but I will just point out, if you look at our income for this year, we made £4 million. £2 million of it was transfers. If you look at our expenditure for the year, it's £2.2 million. Without the sales that we made this year, we would be running at about break even. And with lots of players potentially wanting new contracts, every little might count when it comes to pennies. I'm going to go prepare for a final at Wembley. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you over there. So a whole load of Football Manager later, we're back. A month played. I did have to organise a couple of friendlies against our youth teams because there was a little bit of a gap between the National League playoffs happening and then the FA Trophy happening after that. So, yeah, we did play 3 games to end the league season. Worthing, Yeovil, Hartlepool. Some nice convincing wins there that did ensure that we continued our ridiculous winning run. And elsewhere, in the playoff final, Aldershot took on Cheltenham, which was a bit of a surprise. 2 teams who kind of emerged from nowhere in the second half of the season. And yeah, Cheltenham in the end were the team that were victorious. They had a really good end to the season, finished on 90 points. Elsewhere, Fleetwood were relegated. They did win 4 games this season, though, to be fair to Fleetwood. So, I don't know. I feel like we'll keep half an eye on them going forward. If you're wondering about their team is still just very much full of youth players. As for our own squad heading into this final, there are actually a couple of injuries to speak of and a suspension. Jake Garrett was sent off in our final game of the season. He won't be playing left back. It does mean that Slate, in what will potentially be his final ever game as a Rugby Town player, is going to be playing in that position. Elsewhere in the team, you can see Connor Coventry picked up an injury. Ricky D is injured and failed his fitness test, so Bitumba, who's played a fair amount of games at right back, it has to be said, is going to come in. 14 starts he's got in the league, actually, and I suppose this applies to the entire team, but when you look at our players, the rotation across the entire squad was pretty thorough throughout, whilst, yes, Bradley Edwards and Goma played the vast majority of games. There were plenty of players who got into double figures for appearances and even kind of the 20-plus appearance mark. Suppose that really is a testament to the depth and strength our team has, that we've been able to rotate things so much and still maintain that really high level of performance. The only other player unavailable for today's game is Adam Abbas. I could play him, but he failed his fitness test, so we're not going to chance him. Goldsmith and Pritchard will be our more attacking options on the bench. Elsewhere, Holchuddy is there. I have learnt from my lessons. I am putting putting a goalkeeper on the bench, given the fact we can have 7 players. In terms of the starting 11 for this game, besides the 2 fullbacks that have been swapped out, it's the exact same team that played the previous game in the semi-final. As for Solihull Moors, by the way, once described by me as the Area 51 of England and the UK, you can see here their form in the second half of the season was nothing short of disastrous. They actually completely missed out on the playoffs, and you might remember first half of the season, they were one of the really, really good teams up there. In fact, they beat us in the league not all that long ago. We were playing them away from home. Of course, today, this game is at Wembley, neutral ground, hoping we're going to use that to our advantage. I say use it to our advantage. What I mean is because we lost away from home against them, I'm hoping at neutral venue will do better. I think you knew that. Don't know why I'm explaining it. So this is a rematch. We want revenge. We were beaten by Solihull in this very final 2 years ago. The teams are kind of different, aren't they? Or at least our team is different. Their team, I imagine, will have changed a lot. You always get high turnover at this level of English football. It's all down to the players, and I'll tell you what, it is a jam-packed Wembley, isn't it? So I thought there'd be more people turn up. No one's turned up for the FA Trophy final. It's an absolute disaster. Anyway, there's a kickoff highlight. Maybe I should be paying attention to that. Jude looked offside there. I think had he got there, it wouldn't have counted, but Warmington in goal for them has collected it. But early on, we're getting the ball into a dangerous area high up the pitch. Warmington, I'm not sure if he's time wasting here or doing the hokey cokey. He's going in and out, and in the end, he's going to lump the ball out. We've won it, and now we're bringing it forward again. It's Tim through the middle, gives it to Hamilton. Slate could be his final game. He could have capped it off with a goal. The keeper parries it onto the post. Solihull are playing with this really defensive shape. They've got the 3 centre-backs, the wing-backs, defensive mid as well. Clearly, they're looking to catch us on the break. It is going to be a war of attrition, this one. They've got so many men behind the ball to try and break down. We need to pull them out of position, bait them into a press, and then exploit the gaps that we create. And well, for a second, I thought we were going to see that on full display. Instead, we've given the ball straight to them, and their game plan, I think it's kind of obvious. They've got 2 strikers. They're going to look to get the ball to them, and then hope some magic happens. Like that. That was very nearly a goal. Already coming up to 35 minutes played here. Solihull with just the 2 shots on goal, whilst we are having a lot of the ball, 73% of it now. There is no breakthrough coming. And in fact, at the break, 0-0. Not a classic so far. I'm far from pleased. This is one of those games where I could change up a load of things, but my fear is if I change things, I just invite them on to us. We're doing so well at the moment in terms of dominating the play. Kind of just want more of the same, and I'd like to think for a war of attrition, we will just wear them down and break them down over time. I will make some changes after this chance. Whatever happens, things are going to be changing up. Frith, through for them. Lissa, what a tackle that is. On a booking as well. That is such a good tackle. Now can we make something of it? Smith to Edwards. Plays it forward to Jude. Soon Supbell. Options left, options right. Goes on his own. It falls to Hamilton. His shot whistles wide of the post. And I think with that, that might be the indicator it's time to take off Hamilton. He's on a 6.5 rating for this game. I'm going to bring in Callum Goldsmith with his 17 acceleration to hopefully terrorise the defending team as they get tired legs. Elsewhere in the team, Ngoma's not had a good game. Ngoma, though, is just the kind of player you have to keep on the pitch. I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take off Tim and I'm going to bring in Isaac Pritchard. This guy was a main man for us last year, and whilst he's taken on a bit more of a side role, you know, he's not the main character anymore, he could make himself the main character of at least this episode by bagging us a goal here. A great player going forward, not the best defensively, but given how we've dominated the play, not sure we need to be making changes defensively yet. Okay, corner, Ngoma is over it. There are going to be some options in the middle. Who is there? McLaughlin, back post. Lissa is there as well. He put in a heroic tackle at one end. He's now got his noggin on it to break the deadlock. I can't stress it enough. That tackle he made earlier on in this half was absolutely sensational. And now he pops up at the other end, rising above everyone to nod us ahead. And while Solihull, when they beat us 2 years ago, they beat us 1-0. I'd love to beat them 1-0 just for the poetic justice. But there might be some defending needed here. The corner's put in. And Keeley, I think he had it covered. The header wasn't on target. It's gone wide. A couple of players over on the left-hand side. And Ngoma finds a little bit of space to operate in. And now it's with Edwards. Lovely build-up play here. Jude played in behind, and Warmington tips that shot over the bar. Batumba with a throw-in right in the corner. 14 minutes left here. It is still a 1-goal game. We are definitely the team on top, but the scoreline doesn't really reflect the dominance yet. And, well, for a second I thought we were about to leave ourselves exposed on the counter-attack. Instead, it's wide with Slate. His initial cross is blocked, but it's back into a dangerous area. Pritchard, Soonsup-Bell, Batumba. Oh my word, that shot came from nowhere from the right back. It hits the crossbar and goes over. And immediately, we're into another highlight. The first half didn't have many highlights. The second half, it's just been one long highlight, it feels like. Pritchard wins his header. Jude breaking through. You'd back him to score. And now he hits the woodwork. It hadn't stopped shaking from the previous shot. And we've hit it for a second time in a matter of minutes. The pressure is ramping up. The temperature is rising in this game. We're approaching, 10 minutes, if you include added time left this match. Slate down the byline in what could be his final game, puts the ball in. It wasn't ideal, but it's still in a dangerous area. And now Ngoma's having a pop shot from range as well. They've got a corner. The ball's whipped in. They've hit the woodwork. That was such a weirdly short highlight. It is all action at either end. It's still only 1-0. I'm just staring in the top left. 6 minutes of added time. Can we hold on? There's 100 seconds left here. Pritchard wins what could be a big header, but suddenly they're committing players forward. Reindorf brings the ball forward. Keeley collects it. Keeley, just fall on the ball, mate. Stay on the ground. They don't need to touch it anymore. Brody Spencer at defensive mid lays it to Ngoma. Goldsmith, Slate. This is lovely. This is beautiful. Slate plays it inside and Edwards shoots. Their goalkeeper's made another save there. Their goalkeeper might well get man of the match in a game that he loses 1-0. The amount of saves he has made has been mad. We've created so much and yet scored so little. Spencer is the man over it on his left foot, whipping it in. It's cleared away. And surely with that, that is going to be that. The stadium, I mean, it's a depressing image, isn't it? Look how empty Wembley is here. I won't question it. Hopefully our fans do start coming to games soon. I mean, we get 700 fans for home games. Hopefully it's more next year, or that will be a problem. But you know what? Let's not discuss our problems. Let's discuss some new silverware. The FA Trophy is ours. The Vanarama National Trophy is ours as well. Next season, we're playing in the Football League. We will be a fully professional club. A new era of rugby is upon us. I'm very, very excited for it. It might not be the busiest summer transfer window. I think a lot of our business is going to revolve around keeping our best players. But I'll tell you what, we've kind of ended this season in style. And I say we've ended this season in style. Of course, this game in its kind of own right, not the most emphatic. It was a 1-0 game where we definitely deserved to win. But just across the season, the second half of things has been kind of mad. The first half of the season, we were battling away, really scrapping it out. And we did add some new players throughout the year that really helped us to kind of go up a level. The issue we're going to have next year is League 2 does have transfer windows. So I can't just go out and buy reinforcements willy-nilly. Suddenly there's a lot more importance on getting our business done well in the summer rather than waiting until kind of September, October time to get some players in. Rugby Town celebrate a double. We received £60,000 for winning that game. The board are delighted. Lissa picked up man of the match for his goal. I did notice their goalkeeper got a 7.5 rating. He was very, very good for them. I'm being asked about squad planning for next season. You know what? We'll worry about that in the transfer special next time out. And elsewhere, to cap off a great year, Manager of the season in the National League. Things you love to see. I'm not sure what our bank balance was before that final, but it doesn't appear to have gone up massively. Although we did lose a lot of money, I think, in the last month with not many matches to play and lots of wages to pay. Our scout Edwin Hayes has retired from football. The man who appeared from nowhere, you know, when he was born in Welland Garden City. Yeah, he's retired. Look at that biography. We'll get a new scout in. And to cap off today's episode, we have got the end of season review. Those two trophies sitting on full display. Unsurprising, signing of the season went to Jude Soonsup-Bell. This guy genuinely was the difference, I think, between us scrapping in the kind of title fight in the National League versus what ended up happening where we pulled away. Joined us, a good number of games into the season. Missed 17 games across the season through, rotation and joining late. But in 29 games, 33 goals, 11 player of the matches, a 7.88 rating. I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to be rather imperative to our success for the next few years. Elsewhere, Tim the Iron Man joined us very late on in the year. Didn't really need to sign him, but we signed him because he was there. Sometimes you see players and you're just like, Well, he's bloody good. I need him. Tim is that bloke. £150 a week he's on for 2 further years. And yeah, during his 8 games he played in the league, he averaged a 7.43 rating. McLaughlin is another player who came in and did a really solid job for us. Mentioned him during the semi-final. I feel like we've barely uttered his name, but he has been just a really stable kind of player throughout the starting 11 ever since he came to us. We have got him mentoring the team of tomorrow with his modern citizen personality. So hopefully that's going to shine through on some of our younger players coming up through the first team. And I suppose in a similar manner, you could look at the likes of Keeley, Garrett and Lissa and Brodie Spencer, 4 players who joined us during the year who just took us up that extra level and kind of allowed us to initiate cruise control through the second half of the season. When it comes to transfers out, Oyatunde managed to get 16 goals for Newtown. Newtown were predicted to finish second in the Welsh Premier League. Of course, Tycoon owned. They finished 7th, but they have qualified for the Conference League, presumably by winning some kind of domestic cup in Wales. And just while we're talking about players that have departed the club in recent years, Miles Maycock, people have been asking for an update on this guy. 1 league start in League One this year. Not exactly set the world alight since he joined Salford. I don't really feel like he's improved a great deal either. He's about to enter the last year of his contract. If he was available for a reasonable price, I might look to pick him up. Then again, when you look at him in our squad comparison, you realise he would come in and only be our 6th best centre mid. Once upon a time, this guy was our star player. I compare him against Ngoma now, who is younger than Miles Maycock as well, which sounds mad to say. He makes Maycock look like a child. And if you're wondering about the duo of players who departed to Shrewsbury, £400,000 we received for the 2 of them. To be frank, they were awful. So good sales by us. Here is how the season ended up looking in terms of the league table. We were top. We finished top by 27 points in the end. We really did just romp home. Second half of the season, we were absolutely superb. You can just see here, sea of green. And whilst there was the odd rugby 4-7, 5-1 style performances, there were also some really nice clean sheets and ground out wins here. It'd be really easy for me to pretend it was all plain sailing. No, there were actually quite a few 2-1s, 1-0 kind of narrow win games throughout this year that did help us to make the title just a little bit simpler to win. Of course, in terms of our FA Cup run, one that will go down in folklore, we knocked out 2 League 2 clubs, we knocked out a Premier League club, we went to Man City and didn't embarrass ourselves as well, and in the FA Trophy, well, you've just seen it, we won it all! Yeah, we only had to play 6 games to get through this. Ultimately, though, with the exception of the game against Barnet and maybe the final, it was largely straightforward. You can see here the average home attendance, only 689. I really thought more fans would start turning up for our football team. It's not happened yet. That is a bit of a concern as we enter the Football League. Perhaps unsurprising here, competition prize money has gone up, courtesy of the FA Cup, and to be fair, finances across the board on the rise. 149 shirts sold is a depressing number. Jude, top seller. Make of that what you will. I like to think that people who bought his shirt had already bought a shirt earlier on in the year. I'm sat thinking about 149 shirts feel peanuts, doesn't it? It might be a case of we really struggle once we hit the Football League without the kind of increased fan base, which I think we did experience with Guernsey. I feel like last year at Guernsey we were always well supported. The locals haven't taken to football yet in rugby. In terms of our best 11 through the year, of course, there was a lot of rotation involved in this team. Slate's numbers there only feature his numbers after he returned from us at the end of January, I realise. And whilst there was a stable starting 11, as you can see from the number of sub-appearances in brackets players made, there was a lot of rotation this season. We did pick up Manager of the Year and Manager of the Month on 3 occasions. Jude was dominant. Player of the season, young player of the season, signing of the season, top goal scorer. Most assists went to Murphy and Ngoma. I feel like Jude and Ngoma really are the 2 players that are going to be essential going forward. They are 2 players that I would like to think could be with us all the way to the Championship and maybe even beyond. Of course, that is assuming we can keep hold of them. That is going to be a challenge in itself, especially since I don't want to offer them full-time deals. Here, by the way, is the overall best 11 for Rugby Town. If you're wondering what happened to McAvoy, he signed a contract with Kerry, where he's got 4 goals in 14. He went a long time without finding a job. Was a little bit worried he might just retire, but good news, he's still in football. And actually, for the majority of the other players in this team, they are still at the club. If you're wondering, how's Brian Okonkwo doing? Great question. Spent the entire year with Preston North End, didn't do anything. I don't even feel like he's really improved as a player. And I'm now looking at his value, thinking, I'm very glad we cashed out when we did on his contract. Remember when we sold that clause? That's looking sensible right now. Still no updates on the new stadium. Remember ages ago where we got told about the stadium looking for a site? No news on it yet. We did gain a lot of followers on social media. I feel like last year we only had like 1,000 followers on social media, so clearly an FA Cup run has done us a world of good. You can see our reputation has shot up, presumably as a result of the success throughout pretty much every competition this year. And of course, you can see here the new board expectations. Of course, we've got that new board in with new Brian. Aim for next season, and these do sometimes just seem to change randomly, but the board are saying right now, promotion to League One next year. That is their expectation they're stating now. It could change, but if I'm being honest, that's what I want to be aiming for. I feel like League One is a league that's maybe not the most difficult to get promoted into. There's 4 relegation spots. League 2 has these 3 automatic promotion spots and then the playoffs as well. Being realistic for a moment, of all the leagues in the English pyramid as you climb up, I think the gap from the National League to League 2 is the smallest in terms of gaps. So I'm going to back us to play well in this one. I'm going to accept that vision. Squad dynamics update, we have no leaders, which maybe is a little bit of a problem, but the dressing room atmosphere and managerial support are top tier, so let's not worry about that for now. End of season meeting next year, League 2, I want us to be promoted. We're going to go for back-to-back promotions. The players love it, I love it. That bodes well, I think, going into next year. Jermaine McCulloch secured Ebbsfleet promotion. I have been keeping an eye on Jermaine here. He has improved a lot, and he's now declared himself as Jamaican, so we might see him playing a bit for Jamaica. He is a product of our academy. He's been doing very, very well. Luke Meredith did also secure promotion for Alfreton Town. If I'm being honest, I don't see a route where he gets into the first team, so maybe a player will look to sell on. And Jake Cartwright, he is still at the club. He's got a contract for another 2 years. He just helped get Hungerford Town promoted as well. They won the playoffs. So, lots of our loan players just doing the business. Now, I have already secured the signing of 2 players going into the year. The first is Ndongo. This guy, Chelsea youngster, very, very good player. Super inconsistent, super injury prone, but I've decided he is worth taking a punt on just because at 17 years old, he looks like he could be a really good centre-back if he stays fit. And the other man I've picked up is Liam Holt. A little bit of a question mark over his potential, but at 17 years old, he's been playing regular football in the 4th tier of Scotland and playing very, very well. We've secured his signing for £11,000. Maybe a bit of a punt, but if it works out, it'll work out well. And to be honest, I think that just about wraps things up from me today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. A little bit of a wrap-up. Enjoying winning the FA Trophy as well. Like I mentioned, I think this summer's not going to be the most action-packed because of the whole contract scenario. We'll have to wait and see. But don't be surprised if the next episode, which will be labelled a transfer special, is just me hitting continue. I think in an ideal world, compared to last year where we were desperately looking for players, kind of look across the squad and feel pretty happy with what we've got. Don't expect to see a load of signings next time out. We'll be back again tomorrow to kick off season number 6 with lots of transfers, maybe, possibly, certainly some off the pitch stuff, and maybe just dealing with contracts. We'll have to find out what's in store. I'll see you guys for it nevertheless. I hope you're excited. Take it easy. It's me, Jack. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.